Hello, today we're going to be going over to East-West Tandara, 321 RLOK. We're going to start right up front here. Basically, you got a little hookup light here, so if you had to hook up at night, you're able to. There's a little push button right here on the side that you would push to turn it on and off. Underneath here is where our front storage compartment is located. In here is going to be two 24 series batteries. And then we also have our inverter. The inverter is so that whenever you're towing the camper, and you need to keep your fridge on, you're able to turn this on. You can turn it on from here or from inside. There's a control panel inside as well. This is the communication cable so that the inside controller can be communicate. And we got our plug to plug it in so it'll power the fridge when you're going down the road. And we'll show you that inside. I'll show you how to turn it on, turn it off. You got two hooks up here to hold the door up. These guys got little clips on them so you can't actually lock them into place. It's a nice new feature they got and I like it. I've snapped plenty of them on the back of my collar.
That is pretty cool.
All right, so next here is going to be our leveling system. Basically with this guy, this is going to be our power button to turn it on and off. We'll talk about auto level in just a second. We're going to comb through some of the options that it has. Basically, when we push up, it'll tell you can drop the front jacks. What this basically means is that when you get to your campsite and you're ready to unhook from the tow vehicle, you're going to lower your feet down. Usually anywhere between 10 to 12 holes roughly on each side. Make sure that your pin does go all the way through. And then you'll hit drop front jacks. What it will do is it will start lowering until they sense pressure on those jacks, and then they usually lift it up a little bit. Usually just the right amount of space for you to unhook from the pin, from your box. And then usually you got to do a little tweaking of, raising it up or down a little more from there. Next, you got auto reconnect. What the auto reconnect is that basically when you're done camping, what you're going to do is you will hit enter, and what it will do is it will actually set the camper to the last unknown hitch position as long as it has not lost battery power. And then from there, you might have to adjust it up or down depending on the style of hitch that you have. And then you have manual mode. Manual mode, so you can kind of go in and do some tuning, so you want to try to elevate one side or the other, things like that. Usually though, when people start messing with this, the system can start getting messed up and things like that. So usually I just like to recommend that manual mode is for more a service side. But if you ever wanted to get in there and try to adjust some things, but you want it to be at that same position every time you go camping, you go into manual mode, you'll do your adjustments, raising the front, lowering the back, left, right, things along that nature. But then when you exit out, you'll hit the front, or you'll turn it off, push front 10 times and rear 10 times, and that resets the system. Like I said, though, a lot of times people messes up their leveling system when they get into this. It's usually just not recommended to mess with it. After that, you got auto retract all. What this will usually do is it will basically bring up all your stabilizer jacks, including the fronts. The only time you usually want to do this is once you have been hooked to the tow vehicle. It'll go ahead and bring those fronts up for you. And then auto retract rear. So if you wanted to bring up just the rear, you can do that. The nice thing is though, is whenever you hit the auto reconnect, it automatically raises those rear jacks for you. And then it'll show you your tilt and angle, so your front and back and side to side. And then it'll tell you how much so this is the front legs, or how far they are extended out. And then your rear. Tells you your battery voltage as well. And then we're back to the ready system. So with the battery voltage, the reason why it does show you that is because this guy does usually need above 11 for it to properly work. Okay, so if you're trying, if it's been sitting for a while, the batteries might got a little weak, you start putting a load on the system, it might try to give you an error, because usually and a lot of times it'll usually tell you on this panel, if there is an error, it will let you know. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do the auto level. These blinkers these guys are flashing because it's just telling us that, hey, our camper isn't technically level. So we're going to go ahead and hit auto level. Come on. There it goes. Got to find the sweet spot on the switch. So a lot of times when you first unhook from the tow vehicle, your camper will have more of the frontward slope. And usually that's what you want whenever you go to auto level. And most times the first thing that it's going to do is it's going to lower the front. So that's what it's actually doing right now. So I didn't have it quite high enough, so it originally started to bring itself up, but now that it says, hey, we're good, as you see, it's now lowering the front. So you do always want to make sure that the tow vehicle is out of the underneath the coach before you auto level. So that guy should stop here pretty soon. Now it's telling us we're just getting ready to auto ground the rear, and then our rear is going to start coming down. You see these guys are coming down. If you might get to some areas where that guy is a little higher from the ground, these guys do only have an X amount of distance that they can extend out. And once again, it would throw an error code on you. It'll say out of stroke. Basically what that is saying is that the jack has been extended as far as it can go. If that is the case, then you need to try to find some way to put some kind of blocks or something underneath those to kind of elevate it so it isn't having to extend out so far. So as we come back here, it's still going to tell you to please wait. It's auto leveling. Another thing that you do always want to make sure is that the slide rooms are always in and there's no one inside like moving around shaking the camper while it is doing its leveling sequence. We do have quite a bit of slope here, so she's definitely thinking and working. But as you see, this light flashes the entire time while it's leveling. So now it's doing an individual check of each jack, seeing if it needs to do any final adjustments. Auto level success. It'll even tell you that. If you forget, from there you can turn this panel off. It does have an auto shut off where it'll just shut off on its own after a few minutes of no activity. All right, so then inside here, it's going to be one of your two 30-pound propane tanks. This side here is your regulator side. So basically, I'll tell you, as you see right now, it's reading red that it has no propane flow. Okay, basically we turn this guy on. It's going to switch to green, telling us that we have a propane flow. So basically, it will tell you when the tank is empty. Up here is going to be a little dial here. I'll try to turn it so you can see it a little better. This here tells you what tank you're using. So when it's pointed all the way to the right side, it's using this tank here. And then onto the left side, it's using the other tank on the other side. Also in here is also a little instruction for the leveling system. It is a sticker, we know how stickers like to last, so if you ever decide you don't want to try to make sure you don't lose this, because this is open underneath here and the wind can blow through, I've seen people actually take this sticker off and put it on a piece of paper and keep it in the owner's manual packet. Inside here is going to be your 50 amp power cord, comes with the coach. And then here's going to be our water station. Basically up at the top, you got your outside your little shower. This guy here would connect right into it. It's a quick connect. And then you got your options of hot and cold water. You get where you hook up for satellite or campground cable. And we'll talk about the campground cable when we step inside, because you do have to turn off the TV antenna booster for the campground cable. Over here, this switch is a secondary switch for the water pump. This switch does have to be in this up position for the switch inside to actually be able to operate it. And then down here is pretty much where you would basically set the knobs to whatever you're trying to use the system for. If you're trying to use the city water hookup, you're going to turn the knobs to these settings here. And then you'll be ready to hook up to this guy right here and use that. We'll talk basically with the city water. You always want to make sure there is a pressure regulator at the water spigot. From there, your options of an inline water filter if you want to have one, and then your blue and white water drinking hose. From there, you can feed right up through this guy right here, and then ties in right here. If you were going to go to an area that didn't provide a water spigot source for you, what you're going to want to do is fill the fresh water tank, obviously when we get close to that campsite, because you don't want to be hauling all that extra water. Basically, you'll just turn your knob to the power fill tank. So you just turn these knobs to this setting here. Once again, you're going to hook to this port here. It will start filling that fresh water tank. All right, there's going to be I believe there's 2 blue tubes underneath here. I'll show you that when we get to the fresh water, where the drain is on that. Basically, one of those blue tubes is an overflow tube, and the other one is a breather tube. Then whenever you get to your campsite, you're ready to use that water from the water pump, you do have to change your knobs to dry camping. That's basically what the setting is right now. I did have some water in the fresh tank to make sure we didn't have any potential leaks. And it is also tested on the city water as well. If you go to winterize your camper, same concept. You're going to turn your knobs to this setting here. You're still going to connect to here. You're just going to take a hose and put it, roughly usually get a 5-gallon bucket. Get yourself about 3 gallons of antifreeze. Stick that hose in that bucket, and then you're going to use the water pump to winterize the camper. As long as you get all the water out of the coach, you can usually get by with about 3 gallons in these bigger ones. And then once again, also for some reason the water was left in the camper and you start getting that rotten egg or that stagnant kind of smell, you would turn the knobs to sanitize the tanks. Basically, you're going to do the same thing. Instead of using antifreeze, you just have a bucket with some bleach water in it, siphon it into the system, let it sit for a couple hours, then drain and rinse out, usually by hooking to the city water, and just kind of flush the lines out. All right, so then over here is going to be the black tank flush. Pretty much this is a sprayer inside the black tank. Sprays around and gets that nastiness out for us. And then we got our pretty much our valve handles here. You got your gray tank, your black tank, which is just the toilet, and then your other gray tank, or galley tank. So kitchen sink, bathroom sink, shower, and washer drain, because this does have a washer dryer option. All right, then right over here on this side here, you're going to have a motion sensor light. So if it's clicked to the left, that is where the light will continuously stay on. When it switches to the right side, it's a motion sensor side, and pretty much it'll just turn on whenever you go to open your door if there's movement in here. And then it will usually shut off after 30 seconds of no activity. Then down below that's where your battery disconnect is located. Pretty much you're only going to be using this guy when you're storing the camper. Pretty much you're just going to turn this key and pull it out. What it does is disconnects the battery from the camper so that if anything was potentially left on, it would not drain those batteries on you. And then you got a 110 hook up here as well. That is GFCI protected. This guy here is going to be the water heater. So basically with this guy, you always do want to make sure that you get all the water out of the camper when you're done. But the good way to do that is you would open this to relieve the pressure, and then you're going to take this guy out down here. This is a 1 1/16 socket, and this is an anno rod. Basically what this guy does is it starts out the size of a dime and work itself down to the size of a coat hanger. What it's doing is attracting the impurities in the water, so it attacks that rod and not the tank, because it is a steel tank. And you do also have a nice size tank. It is a 10-gallon water heater. That's actually pretty nice. For winterizing, when you go to winterize, the red knob on your control panel is the bypass for the hot water heater. Next, we're going to have our furnace, pretty much your intake and outtake. You do not want to try to hang anything in front of this. We do like to recommend getting mud dauber screens to put on these guys to kind of help keep the mud daubers and the wasp out of there. Down here, they do provide you a light, so if you had to hook up at night and dump, you could see. But then your sewer hookup, your sewer hose is going to connect to here. And then also located down there is going to be where our low point drains are located. Got red for hot, blue for cold. These guys are the lowest points in the water lines. I always like to recommend, you'll usually open them up when you go to winterize, or if you had to sanitize the coach. I also like to recommend when you're done camping, we are trying to get all that water out of the coach. Open up those low points and open up a faucet inside. As you pull this home, that air is going to blow through the lines and push any excess water out of those lines, so you wouldn't get that potential stagnant water. This is where your 50 amp power cord will hook up to. You do have a light right here, the kind of indicator that shows that it does have power going through. Our tires are torqued to 115 foot-pounds. All right, if you don't own a torque wrench, you do want to make sure that you get one. It is a 19 millimeter or 3/4 socket. This nose sticker here, it's going to tell you 100, but that is not correct. But basically, this sticker here is just to make sure that you check the lug nuts at 50, 100, and 200 miles. I always like to recommend that you always check the lug nuts. Basically, whenever you leave camp, first place we're going to stop is usually the gas station to refuel. While you're refueling, you can check the lug nuts. You're knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone, and you're ready to head home. You also want to make sure you keep these tires topped off to their max PSI level. I believe these guys were 80 PSI, and it does tell you that right here. So right here is also labeled where your fresh water drain is located. So underneath here, once again, we're going to have those 2 blue lines. One's the overflow, one is a breather. And then you're going to have your guy right there to empty. I do have some water in there, so I'll actually be able to open and show you guys this. It's a nice 1.25 inch hole pipe, so it will actually drain that water out rather quickly. Most of the time, this water is going to be empty before you guys even leave the campground. It's quick. All right, as you come around towards the back, you do have the option for an observational backup camera up top. Then we do have our ladder to the roof. Our weight capacity on that is 250 pounds. We're not trying to go up there and have any kind of NASCAR parties or anything like that, but we're going up to inspect the roof. Basically look at the sealant, make sure that it hasn't kind of created air bubbles as it's being pulled down the road, or over time it'll dry out and start cracking. When that happens, you just want to clean it and you want to overlap with some new lap sealant. Right here you do have an outside spray port, so pretty much your hose over there that connected to the outside shower also connect to here. So you can have some water here near the outside kitchen area. Down below is where our LP Quick Connect is located. Basically it's going to be for our outside grill. And I'll show you your hose here in just a minute, but it is a Quick Connect fitting. Whenever you got your hose hooked up, this does have to be in that off position to hook the hose up, and then you'll turn it like so to the on position for the air, for the propane to flow through. And that is actually going to be right here. All right, so inside here we're going to have our nice little mini fridge. This is 110 only, so you do have to be hooked up to Sure Power for this to have power. They do give you an outlet here, and that switch there is so that we are able to lower the TV. Your TV is up top there. So this guy will come down. I got our remote, I believe I put our remote right up top here in our little cubby compartment. So it does have its own remote. And we'll talk about programming channels and things like that when we step inside. But basically you do have this smaller TV out here for. And then we got our griddle here. Get this guy back up and we'll go over to our griddle. So with our griddle, pretty much you just pull these guys down and this guy will pull out, just like so. Then on the back is where our connection fitting is located. It's located right here. Basically your hose here is going to connect to the back side of that. It'll feed. As I said, there's a small little hole right here. There's a hole down here where the hose can feed through. And it'll come down and around and hook up to the LP Quick Connect. Nice thing about this model here is that with this, you are able to actually remove these guys here, and underneath is a grate style, so if you wanted to do grilling instead of using a griddle. Really nice feature with these Greystone ones. And then this here's your grease trap. It does tell you a warning. Hopefully you are all smart enough you don't try to throw this back in there while it's still hot. Push it down to release the lock, so you can push it back in. And it'll lock back into place. Like I said, our remote's going to be up there. It's the same remote that's going to be used on the inside TV as well. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We both have problems with keys.
That we do. We're going to come back, talk about the door in just a minute. Basically over here, so it's going to be the other side of our storage compartment. You're able to hook up your TV outside if you want. The lower one is going to be the TV or campground cable, and the top is satellite, and then you got your plug there for that. And then we have where our other 30-pound propane tank is located. All right, so with our compartment doors, those are going to be our black key here, our little Bauer key. The purple key is going to be our entry door. And then our silver key here is going to be the door for the leveling system. All right, so with our door, a purple key, pretty much you turn it, the door handle lock, you would turn to the right to lock it. And then for the deadbolt, you turn it to the left and you'll hear a click. You're also not able to pull the key out. If you turn this guy to the right and you pull the key out, that shows that you did not lock the deadbolt. So next we're going to have our entry steps. So with our entry steps, you always do have to make sure the door is all the way open when you go to bring them out. The reason why is because this guy here can catch the door and cause damage to it. But you're going to pull this to unlock and then pull it forward. You have feet, this guy here, so you can adjust your feet up or down. And this guy will come and sit straight down. The reason for that to adjust the feet is because generally you want to make sure that this is flat with the threshold as possible. Too much of an elevation can actually cause issues to the entry door and screen door. Like this guy on this side is actually a little elevated, while this side is nice and flush, so we'd have to try to adjust this side. But we are going to leave our entry door open, so we're going to be okay with that. When we first step in, we're going to have our fire extinguisher right to the left, right, always near the entry door. But then we're going to walk into the control panel area here. All right, we'll start up at top. Basically, this was for that inverter that I was telling you about, so that it will power the refrigerator because it is a residential fridge. Your power. Let me try to remember how to. Am I not pushing the button right? Probably not pushing the button right. Looks like it will not let me turn it on, probably because we are hooked up to Sure Power. We will look into that just to make sure that it is properly working before the unit does leave. So then we're going to have the control panel down below. Basically, it'll tell you your battery status, fresh tank, which we just emptied. You got your black tank 1, which was the toilet. You don't have a second toilet, so you don't have that guy. Then you got your galley tank, and then your gray tank 2, which is the bathroom, sink, and shower, and washer drain. This here's where you're going to control the water heater, gas and electric option. The water pump, you're only using the water pump if you're using the fresh water tanks. And then you got tank heaters. The tank heaters are little 12-volt heating pads on the bottom of the tank. Basically, they monitor the temperature of the tank. They got built-in sensors. Once the tanks get below a certain temp, they will automatically come on their own and then shut off on their own as long as this switch is on. So then we got our interior light. You got a safety light, cap light, and awning lights. The cap light are 2 little LED lights on the cap. The safety light or LED light underneath the bedroom slide. Then we have slide room 1, which is going to be this slide right here next to us. Go ahead and bring them out. The next we'll bring out slide room 2, which is going to be our kitchen side. Our slides are going to make a little bit of noise because it did rain yesterday. They were still a little wet when I brought them in.
And that's just the seal making noise, right?
That is just the seal going against the wall, correct. And then slide room 3 is going to be the bedroom slide. Which if you hear those guys, it has a little more of a whining sound. These guys are 2 independent motors that works on a cable system. But basically, it'll come all the way out. And when you hear that whining sound is when you want to stop. Then you have awning 1. And that's going to be our main awning right here. Nice, crisp and clean, brand new. Basically, you just want to kind of you want that flap kind of usually right around there where it kind of hangs down. You are able to adjust these guys. These handles are always going to be loose. You want them loose when you're bringing it in and or out, but basically you'll pull this to slide it in, and then you'll tighten that knob, and you can create a pitch for the awning. And it's going to be the same way on both awnings. Awning 2 is going to be the one that is on this slide room over here. I'm going to go ahead and bring that guy back in. We're definitely not as windy as we have been the last 2 days, but we just want to make sure that no gust of wind may come up and cause potential damage. It is always recommended that you should always bring your awning in when it is not being attended to. It is meant to be as a shade protectant. And as you see, that guy is not the fastest guy in the world. All right. Next on here, we're going to have a light switch. This light switch is basically for the lights above our little pantry area here. And then we're going to have our thermostat. This thermostat here is going to control this air conditioner and controls the furnace. When you first go to turn it on, it's going to light it up, but then it'll cycle through. You got fan low, fan high, and then you got cool high and cool low. In these 2 settings, the air conditioner will just come on and run. After that, you got cool low auto and cool high auto. That's where it would turn off to the desired set temperature. And then you got heat. And then back to off. Then over there, then next we're going to have our max fan air. It's going to be located up here. The triangle buttons there will open just the lid if you wanted to. The circle buttons actually opens the lid and turns the fan on for you. And does have 4 different fan speeds as well. And then he easily shuts. All right, just slide by. Down below here is going to be where our fuse panel box is located. Basically, everything that requires 110 to operate is on the fuses. Everything that runs off the battery is going to be on the breakers. Sorry, I got that backwards. Fuses are on the 12 volt. 110 is going to be the breakers. And they do have everything labeled for you. Total dyslexic moment. All right, you step into the bedroom. You got your door here. It does have a magnetic piece on the back, so it'll keep the door propped open for you. Right there on the back side. Our light switch here for the bedroom. Then our thermostat here is going to control this air conditioner. It's basically going to have the same options as the one up front, but it just doesn't offer heat. We got our fire exit window. And then up above is going to be where our TV antenna booster is located. Right now that is on. So the antenna is considered to be the primary signal feed. If we're trying to get that campground cable, we got to hit this button to turn it off. They tell you your TV backer's here, but if you put your TV backer there, I don't know how you're putting your TV on your wall. They just like to slap the sticker on the wall sometimes.
So it really should be what, right here?
It should be generally in this vicinity. Usually they got, depending on the manufacturers, they'll either have a steel plate or, a piece of wood, usually a 9x9 piece of wood. Usually using a stud finder, you can check to see if there's a piece of wood there, or a magnet to see if it would stick to the wall. I mean, the whole sounds solid all through here. And I even seam right here, there's seam tape. So that tells me there should be a stud right in this area as well. But usually it's right about from here to here roughly is is that range. You do got your drawers underneath. They're not very big drawers, but they come with 4 of them. We got our doors here that do have to be secured during travel. We'll show you that in just a minute. But inside, you got a 110 hook up here for a dryer. The other side is going to be for a washer. That's if you decided if you're going to get what they consider to be a stackable. But they wouldn't stack on top of each other. Obviously, one's going to be on each side. A lot of times when everything's over here, they show you where a dryer hookup is for that. Is because they usually have a 2-in-1 combo where it's just one machine. It will wash and dry. I'm going to tell you now, those guys are not very big. You can maybe throw 3 pieces of clothes in there and it's a full load. Just going to be honest with you, they are not very big. Once again, you got motion sensor lights inside here. These guys are on the motion sensor setting, so they most likely they popped on as soon as we walked into the bedroom area. Basically, though, during travel, you're going to make sure that these guys are closed and locked in. Just like so. That way they ain't sliding back and forth, potentially get damaged. You do have a 110 and a USB hookup on this side, basically for charging your phone. You got individual reader lights on each side. Let's see. This guy did have some storage underneath the bed as well. Yep, this side also has 110 and USB hookups also. And then you'll get pretty toasty on this side because that's where your furnace vent is located. So as you look through the coach, you'll see a lot of the lower ones are all black. These are going to be for your furnace, and then the white ones on the ceiling are for the air conditioner. All right, then with the bathroom, you got your light switch. For the toilet, you always do want to make sure there's some kind of liquid in that toilet so that seal doesn't get dry rotted or brittle. Whenever you're going to go do your business, you would lightly press on this pedestal to add water to the tank. It's going to let me have a little bit of water out of there. Once you've done your business, you're going to pretty much push all the way down to flush. I do like to recommend, if you take non-stick cook spray, spray the bowl of the toilet. It helps everything slide down and makes an easier clean for the cleaner. Then we got our shower area here. Basically, you got the nice little shower head here. But basically, it's got a couple different options on it. But then this guy here is just a stop to pretty much reduces the flow of water. And then you're going to have your hot and cold. These guys they got it set up to where you lift them upward. For the shower door, this here is your travel lock. You'll lift this guy, and then you'll pull your door to close to take your shower. Our exhaust fan up here, basically it's just a manual option. You just open, hit the switch. Medicine cabinet, our sink. This is where our GFCI is located, so if for some reason the outlets ain't working in the coach, come make sure this guy hasn't been tripped. Usually trying to run an electric skillet and a hair dryer at the same time. Microwave, potentially. I'm going to step around the other way. I'm going to go ahead and lock our travel door here. And then, of course, you have your travel lock or your lock for the bathroom door, which is just a pocket door that slides. Just a little pocket door. All right, then as we step down, we got the pantry area here. Once again, you got your travel lock. Then inside here, you actually have the pantry area here. You got extra shelving, which are adjustable. But you can take these guys out. You got your coat rack, and they do have a 110 hookup down there for you. I don't know what you're plugging in down there, but
Maybe appliances.
they got something plugged in for you down there. All right. So then we got our residential fridge. With this guy, whenever you go to turn it on, it ain't going to let you try to do anything because it is locked. Basically, you got to press and hold this button, usually for about 5 seconds. It'll shut off, and you can change different functions. So if you want to try to give it a quick cool on the fridge side, or a quick freeze, dehumidify, and Sabbath. I'm sorry, I'm not sure of the I don't know what the Sabbath setting is. Basically though, but you're able to adjust temperatures. I don't know why you should never have your fridge up that high. They shouldn't put it past 40. But basically, and then if you wanted to change it, so if you change the temp zone, so that's going to be for the freezer, 2 freezer doors down below, it's set at 0. The panel will automatically lock on its own. You do got your travel lock right here. This has to be buttoned up for during the travel, and you got 2 side ones over here on the side for the freezer. They do give you an ice cube tray, and then a little divider. Just like so. All right, so we're gonna have our microwave. With the microwave, you do have to be plugged in, obviously, to sure power for this to work. But I would always like to recommend setting the time. You guys will go out, do stuff, you come back, you see the time is not set on the microwave. That shows you there was a power failure at the campsite. You might want to look and see if it was from the campsite or the power company. Your fan for the stove is going to be located on here, high and low, and your light. Once again, though, you have to be plugged into sure power for that to have operational as well. With the stove, you always do want to make sure the exhaust fan is going, but then basically you're just going to turn this to the high position and then turn the light. This here is just going to be your spark igniter. Okay, this will also spark light the oven. Basically, if you angle this just right, you can usually see that spark down there. You can just kind of put this on the flame icon. You'll push and hold this in, and then you'll turn the spark till you'll see it light. And then once it's lit, you keep it pressed and held in for usually 5 to 7 seconds, and you can set your temperature. And then here you got little LED lights that lights that guy up. And then the other one is for the oven light. They do give you a little storage for pots and pans down below. One thing to note, though, is you're not trying to put cast iron in here. They do need to be lightweight cooking pans. Okay, and usually it is recommended that the pans are no larger than what I'm looking at here. I'm going to probably say 8 inches in diameter. You could probably go 10, but it's also going to be taking up some of the other space on the other ones, just to kind of let you be knowful of that. Basically, inside here is where your owner's manual will be located. I got that on our table for the time being, but you got storage there and up above. This light here you turn on manually. Then we got our kitchen little island here for our sink area. We got drawers on each side. Storage on each side. This one here is a trash can area for you. And then also storage underneath the kitchen sink. So with our recliners, you do got the fire exit window right behind the recliners. But for the recliners, you would just lift this guy here to recline them. As you see, there is a strap to secure these during travel, so that it'll get secured for travel. I do believe that actually have to wraps around front like so, I believe. Well, of course, if I do it right. Probably is over the top. Our apologies for the delay there. Well, basically it will just secure here. Alright, you got 110 hookups and USBs on each side of the sofa. The sofa will also break down into a bed. This is actually a really nice style bed. Basically, you're going to come from down here, you're just going to pick up and pull it forward.
Boy, that was easy.
Super easy. I mean, literally, you can pick this thing up and bring it in and out with basically 1 to 2 fingers. This folds down to kind of cover that void. You can put your cushions up top or down below here, and you're ready to go. I do say literally like 1 to 2 fingers. I actually had a in-person walkthrough a couple weeks ago, and I literally asked the lady herself to pick it up with just 2 fingers, and both her and her husband was shocked on how easy it was to pick up and put away. You do have another fire exit located behind the sofa as well. All right. So then next we're going to have, you do get storage up here. Our TV remote for TV. So to turn this guy on. Let's see how our reception's looking today. We didn't have much good reception yesterday because of the weather. But basically we were able to pick up channels located close to our area. Whenever you go to basically get to a new area, scan for channels, you're going to press the menu button. As long as it can recognize it. Okay, we're going to try to read Spanish. Let's try to see if we can't fix that real quick. No, what I want French, we want English. There we go. All right. So then what we'll do is go over to channels. Then you go down to air, or if you had the campground cable, you just push the arrow key over 1 time to change it to cable and then auto scan. Once again, if you're trying to use campground cable, that TV antenna booster has to be turned off. All right, then underneath in our area here is where our radio is located. So you got 2 speaker zones.
Still without power in Oklahoma after at least 8 tornadoes hit the state.
So speaker zone A is going to be these inside speakers. Speaker zone B is the outside speakers. You can hook up a USB for charging, or if you had a flash drive with music or movies on it, things like that. Well, no, not movies. My apologies. It does have an HDMI port hookup for it as well. AM, FM, you're able to Bluetooth connect to it as well. This is going to be your remote for him to turn it on, turn it off, change channels, volume, things along that nature. And it does work through the glass. That's a nice feature. Then our little remote here is going to be for our fireplace. Basically, you got your power button to turn that guy on. Then you can choose between Celsius and Fahrenheit, and that's going to tell you because of what it is down there at the bottom. It tells you what the temperature is right now. You can actually adjust that temperature. So it's set at 77. So if we want to turn it up or turn it down. You got your flame. Basically, you can make the flame brighter or dimmer to off. You got a timer from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Then we got back to off. All right, and then we have our dinette area. Once again, you're going to have straps to secure the chairs during travel. Let's see, is these ones? These ones today. Just making sure. This is going to be your second set of keys because it does come with 2 sets of keys for the unit. These will actually be with the flash drive that you guys will be getting also. Then here's going to be our owner's manual or packet. Basically, most of the manuals for the appliances are all going to be in here. If there's anything that you look for that is not in here, the reason why is because a lot of places are kind of starting to go paperless. So if there's something you're trying to find information about and you don't see it in here, it is usually recommended just try to Google that item that you're looking for and put in a manual, and usually it'll pull it right up for you. Google and YouTube can be your best friends with campers. I will be honest with you on that. And then from there, we have basically made our way back to the front door. If you guys do have any questions, please feel free to call us. We'll do our best to answer them for you over the phone. And thank you and have a wonderful day.